Okay, how are we going to get
let's
to the judicial branch? How are we going to stop the corruption in the judicial branch?
Let's talk about what Judge Kaplan did to both of us. That's Jonathan Kaplan. What has he done to your children to begin with?
I haven't seen my children. It's been 4 years now that Judge Kaplan took away my kids.
He's affected the hearts and minds of those children.
Not only what he did to me, but what he did to my children. He has devastated their lives.
And why is
those children do not know what a dad is.
So why did Judge Jonathan Kaplan
ultimately, for filing a complaint against the judge, he responded with a restraining order against me that took away my kids. No children listed, no allegations of abuse, and he issued an order that stopped me from all contact.
Did he lock your way out of the court one time with his car?
Well, if the restraining order wasn't enough, he actually puts on the record that he contacted prosecutors to have me arrested, family relations to stop me from seeing my kids. He's been going at it for about 4 years now, since the start, sending documents to other courthouses, meeting with prosecutors, filing false statements with the courts for my arrest. And the hardest thing is you contact everybody in the state and nobody does anything about it. Nobody will address the problems in the judicial branch. And at the courthouse, he started getting more and more aggressive. He blocked my path out of the parking lot with his car. When I was in the court, he would post guards next to me, or he'd stand in doorways, or he'd try these juvenile attempts of harassment while I was in the court. And then when he blocked the doorway, or when he blocked the parking lot exit, I actually filed a complaint against him with the state police.
Here's my chili. Okay, thank you.
Close the door.
62 or 63.
You want to continue with your thoughts, or is that a...
Oh, no, we're not done with him yet.
No, on your thoughts.
Yeah, no, that Judge Kaplan.
Was there an issue involving...
Go
ahead.
So I filed a complaint with the state police.
Yep.
And the state police, apparently they talked to the judge.
Yep.
And the judge, I guess, somehow convinced or told the police that I was some threat or something to him.
Does that involve a firearm?
So instead of investigating him, he tried to turn it around to investigate me. The state police told me that if I had any firearms, I should get rid of them, or I could face possible arrest. There's no harm. I had no orders, nothing at the time. I had a completely clean record.
So
but the judge did, and then come to find out, he's been notifying the attorneys in my case. According to one of the attorneys, the courthouses were put on alert. All the attorneys were notified, and the judges were notified that there was a safety threat. And I talked to the state marshals of both courthouses. They never heard anything of it. So the judge is talking to the attorneys and still trying to influence my case and keep me from seeing my kids.
Has Jonathan Kaplan, the judge in Rockville Court, Connecticut, has he put stuff in your secret sealed files where other judges can see that you complained against other judges, where he's basically asking other judges to retaliate against you? Do you feel that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, there's currently in my court folder at Rockville, there's 2 sealed documents. Both are judicial complaints that I filed with the Judicial Review Council, and they were sealed from the public and added to my court folder, so that now anybody who reviews my court folder at Rockville, only judges can see it, will see that I filed a complaint against another judge.
So he's
blacklisted me. Judge Kaplan has blacklisted me, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. He's slowed appeals that were overturned. The appellate court has overturned rulings, remanded them back to the Superior Court, and Judge Kaplan will delay them up to 8 months. He delayed a hearing, and then the hearing was held. It was a joke, and they just ruled in the same way again. They wouldn't allow witnesses or anything in the case. But no, delaying cases, just harassment, meeting with prosecutors, and he admits to it. He admits to calling prosecutors, and he admits to influencing cases. But no one will take any step or any action against him. Nobody's going to protect my kids. And they keep saying that their interest is in protecting children, but it's not. The interest is in protecting themselves, and it's a cronyism or a buddy-buddy system where they just protect each other no matter how bad things get. They will cover up for each other. The judges will.
Have you been convicted of any crimes?
Nope.
All right, so in retaliation, what did Judge Kaplan do as far as your visitation? You finally got it after, what, 3 years?
After 3 years, I see my kids about 2 hours a week. And I finally got it to where it's unsupervised, but I still have to pay $100 a week.
Did you have to go through a metal detector and
yeah, I was having
search?
I had to go through supervised visits at a facility where they bring you through a metal detector. They pat you down. They search you for anything. It's absolutely humiliating.
And
no allegations of abuse. Nothing other than my complaint against Judge Kaplan.
That's because you complained against Judge Jonathan Kaplan.
Absolutely.
And how much did you have to pay per week to?
Originally, it was $45 an hour. I paid to see my kids for an hour at a supervised facility. Last year, we spent Christmas in a 10 by 10 room, $45 an hour with my 2 children.
Wasn't your ex-wife facing felony charges for stabbing you, and she was awarded the kids while facing felony assault charges, and then they would eventually drop the charges against her to go after you because you complained about judges.
She was arrested, and while her case was pending, with a protective order in place, the court awarded her sole custody of our children. We had a shared parenting agreement, 50-50 shared parenting, joint custody, and they awarded her sole custody of the children against every recommendation, against family reports, family studies, testimony by family relations, and while she was on trial for a domestic violence, they gave her sole custody.
If she stabbed you, and she could be a danger to basically anybody, why are you treated like the one that you're some sort of violent criminal? Do you think it's just retaliation?
Absolutely retaliation. Absolutely retaliation. And somebody needs to stop what Judge Kaplan is doing to families at Rockville Court.
All right. You complained to Governor Rowell's office, Kevin Rash, her legal staffer?
Right.
All right. And you were, arrested and facing 30 years in prison after that?
I went to Governor Rowell's office. They asked the head of the state police to look into it. I met with the lieutenant up at Troop C. And the day after I met with him... Was that
Lieutenant Fox of Troop C?
Lieutenant Fox. The day after I met with him, I got a call saying that I was going to be arrested.
Okay.
So I got arrested and processed down in Hartford Court. My complaint was against the state trooper and John Kaplan for what he was doing in the case.
Okay, there you go. Food.
Wow, look at that.
Here?
Yeah.
Anything else?
All right,
enjoy.
All right, so what was the name of the state police officer that arrested you?
He was Trooper Thomas Clark. But my complaint to the state trooper and to Governor Rowell's office, was against the state trooper, Clark, and Jonathan Kaplan.
Did Trooper Clark assault you?
During processing, yeah, he became physical. I wouldn't call it. Well, it was somewhat of an assault.
Well,
pushing me, hitting me with his clipboard. He was mad because I asked when he called me to turn myself in. I told him I'd turn myself in, and he refused to take me that day. And so I never heard of such a thing, and he got mad when I asked why not.
So you're facing a $50,000 bond.
Yep.
And they wanted to raise your bond up to $500,000.
$500,000, right?
Okay, and you checked the wrong box in a court form?
Yep. For when I filed a restraining order in Hartford Court, and they said that because I filled it out wrong, that was perjury, and that's the basis for having me arrested. But the interesting tie-in is that Judge Kaplan had driven to Hartford and file documents with Hartford Court to have me arrested. And my complaint was against Judge Kaplan and this Officer Clark. And the next day, my arrest was based on documents that Judge Kaplan filed with the prosecutor in Hartford. I mean, you have a judge, the head of Rockville Court, driving to Hartford to file documents that he knows are false for an arrest warrant to have me arrested.
So $500,000 is a pretty high bond. I mean,
excessively high, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you're a police officer, like there's a Officer Lawler in Hartford.
Yep, $50,000 bond.
Yeah, for shooting somebody in the back,
right.
Killing them. So $50,000 for murder or executing.
Right, but $500,000 for
checking the wrong box.
Form. Right, exactly.
So that's retaliation too.
Absolutely.
Contacting Governor Rell's office means that you will be investigated and arrested for having complained. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are not very. How can you say? They really don't protect you from the corruption in the state. I think they're part of it.
Let's talk about Judge Howard Scheinblum. Just give me a rundown on his tactics.
Judge Scheinblum was probably one of the most prejudiced and abusive judges when it comes to showing up at his courtroom. I got a call just the other day of a complaint. Judge Scheinblum had a guy. He told the guy that if he would stand up on the desk and crow like a chicken or crow like a rooster, that he'd dismiss his case. And so the guy got up on the desk, started crowing like a rooster, and Scheinblum dismissed his case. Now, can you imagine if that guy was one of the people in this home invasion that murdered those 3 women? Can you imagine if the judge had let him go and then he went out to commit a crime like that?
Isn't Howard Scheinblum the judge? Doesn't he allegedly sentence people either harshly or not harshly based on a violin note? He plays a violin in chambers. Good note, good sentence.
Yeah, he was sentencing. That was one of the complaints against him, is he had a violin that he would play. He would play the violin for sentencing. If he hit a good note, you'd get a light sentence. If you hit a harsh note, you'd get a bad sentence. I mean, this is how a judge is deciding the sentencing of a person by playing a violin. You might as well be looking at a magic 8-ball.
So somebody that could have been in his court could have been sentenced. That could have been involved in the home invasion, and he got a good violin note. So then people are dead.
I recommended at his reappointment that we play a violin to decide whether he gets reappointed or not. That seemed to be fair, right? Fair justice.
Does he tell? I mean, somebody doesn't have a lawyer. Mostly poor whites and minorities. And they don't have a lawyer present, and he tells them to shut up, take the deal, or really get nailed, guilty or innocent. And that's really
Absolutely.
Against the Constitution.
Absolutely. He's known for denying defendants their right to an attorney. You have a constitutional right to be represented in court. Everyone knows it. Most judges respect it. But Judge Scheinblum will argue with the defendant to either take the prosecutor's plea or they're going to get a harsh sentence. As a matter of fact, there's a case going on in Meriden Court where Judge Scheinblum told them to take AR, accelerated rehabilitation. He was forcing them to take AR, or they were going to end up in jail. So this is how a judge deals with the courthouse or with defendants.
So on day to day, Scheinblum does more damage than the 9/11 terrorists ever did.
He is one of the most destructive judges in the state. You will not see a more biased and abusive judge when it comes to courtroom antics. As far as Judge Kaplan certainly surpasses anybody else as far as retaliation and very vindictiveness.
There's tens of thousands of victims, and many of the victims are children, deprived of their parents, deprived of a quality of life. And when children and adults see that the system works so corruptly, inefficiently, expensively, it's just abusive.
Right. Not only are they taking away kids, or abusing children and breaking up these families, but you're right, they're also teaching children how corrupt the state is, and they're teaching children how judges operate. So children are getting a full view of how bad our court systems are,
And people within the system, they feel that if they speak out or if they go against the grain, they see what happens to other people that are retaliated against. I mean, you get arrested, you face prison, you lose your job, you lose everything you ever worked for.
I don't think the public understands how bad our court systems are and how bad our jail systems are. If you get arrested for any crime, whether you're innocent or guilty, they will destroy your life. As soon as the system gets a hold of you, they will destroy your life. Whether you are innocent or guilty, you could be an innocent bystander, it doesn't matter. You will get destroyed by this court system. They will force you to take a plea, or they will abuse you for years, keeping your case on trial for years until you give in or force it to trial.
It sounds like the police and the court system and even the legislators are like a mafia system.
They all work hand in hand and they protect each other, and you will never see a more corrupt system in your life than what goes on in the judicial branch. And the legislators continue to just cover it up and vote in the same judges, knowing these judges are crooked, knowing that they're breaking the law. The legislators keep voting in the same judges.
All right. You don't drink. You don't do drugs. You have a white-collar job. You excel at your job. You're educated. You had a small business. I mean, you're the type of guy, a homeowner, and they're doing all this to you. DCF is also involved in retaliation in your case too?
DCF is a very is also a very abusive agency in the state. They are known for taking children away. Again, for some reason, the state seems to focus on taking children away from their parents. Somehow, the federal funding that they get for breaking up families seems to be a focal point for the state. But I've had experience with them where they've, in one case, they received a complaint about these parents abusing their child. They actually held the parents or filed charges against the parent, charges of neglect and abuse, and it turns out the parents didn't even have a child. It was the name of the dog. And so somehow somebody had made an anonymous tip that they were abusing someone by the name of Chuck or Charlie. DCF, without even investigating it, filed charges against them, and it turned out that it was just their dog, that somebody made false allegations. So even when it was overturned, or even when they realized what it was, 6 months later they still received a notice in the mail saying that they have a record with DCF now. I mean, it is incredible how ignorant these people are of parental rights and what is abuse. DCF is one of the most abusive agencies in the state when it comes to children. It is.
Is there
unbelievable.
I want to wrap it up, but is there any other judges that you want to talk about as far as what they've done wrong?
Well, I found a couple of judges that seem like they try to do a good job. The one thing I've noticed, they don't have much respect for the law. That when they get on the bench, they get a God complex, and they seem to take advantage of it, use it however they want to, and they make decisions whether it's based on law or not.
Another name, like it was Scheinblum, Kaplan. Is there another judge that?
Scheinblum. There's a couple. Rockville Court seems to be one of the worst in the state.
No, that in your case, are there other judges that you want to talk about?
Yeah, Rockville Court, I'd say it is probably one of the most abusive courthouses in the state. Judge Kaplan is the administrative judge. Judge Graziani.
What did Graziani do?
Judge.
He's got
he's the one who took away my kids and awarded sole custody to the mother while she was on trial for stabbing me. Judge Klazak and Judge Graziani worked with Judge Kaplan to issue that restraining order. They both signed off on it to take away my 2 daughters with no allegations of abuse. There weren't even children listed on the affidavit or on the restraining order document itself. I had to ask, who am I being restrained from? And the judge couldn't answer it. But in the end, Judge Klazak said that because of my complaint against Judge Kaplan, he's going to grant this restraining order.
If the judges had wrapped you up in a blanket and beat you up with a bat, would they have done as much
They would
damage?
not have done as much harm as what they did to me and my kids. And what they did to my kids is unforgivable. They certainly don't belong out as judges. They belong off the bench. And I would say, as far as Kaplan, what he did, he belongs in jail. There's no doubt about it.
So he should be arrested?
Graziani, Klezak, they have no respect for the law. And Judge Swords is just as bad. She's the prosecutor. She was the prosecutor at Rockville Court, the supervising prosecutor with Judge Kaplan. And then she became a judge. And you will not see. You walk into that courtroom, and it is amazing how little respect they have for the law themselves. They just take over and do whatever they want. There is no guidelines, no rules that they follow.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and I'm just going to go through the examples of the problems in the judiciary, and I'm going to go through. I'll talk about Judge Kaplan, what he did that was inappropriate and illegal, and what Judge Klezak did, and what Judge Scheinblum did, and what Judge Swords did, and what Judge Scheinblum did, and Graziani did. And I'll tell you, right now, you have 2 judicial complaints have been sealed from the public and added to my court folder. I said, at a time when you're saying the courts are open and you're opening up these secret files, you have a judge who's sealing files and adding them to the sealing files. I said, it's an impeachable offense. And nobody's doing anything about it. You are letting them get away with it. So yeah, I don't want to talk just about my case, but I'm going to talk about phone calls I received of what Judge Scheinblum is doing, complaints I received from attorneys and other people against Judge Graziani, complaints I received against Judge Kaplan, and what I've personally witnessed.
Do you think Judge Kaplan influenced Attorney John O'Brien into not defending you and dropping you as a client?
There's no doubt in my mind that indirectly he did. John O'Brien was quite specific that because of the influence that Judge Kaplan had with other members within the court, that he was afraid to defend me, and that's why he filed a motion to withdraw from my case.
So Judge Kaplan basically dresses down attorneys. If they don't do what he wants, they can be disbarred, arrested.
He knew.
Fined.
He knew what Judge Kaplan has done to other attorneys and what Judge Kaplan would do to him. And he was quite clear that Judge Kaplan wants me put in jail. Even though Judge Kaplan was not even on my case or involved in that criminal case officially, he knew that Judge Kaplan wanted me put in jail. How does my attorney know that? Unless Judge Kaplan was actively involved unofficially in my case. Is that ex parte? Explain that. I don't know if it's ex parte or not, but I do have witnesses of Judge Kaplan meeting with opposing counsel privately, and I have also witnesses of him meeting with the state prosecutor and discussing my case privately with the state prosecutor. That is unethical for both the judge and for that prosecutor, and that's grounds for disbarment and that's grounds for impeachment.
All right. Explain the perjury of possible a judge and a prosecutor. There's Chris Parakilas? Explain that.
Judge Kaplan admitted on the transcript to calling the supervising state prosecutor, Chris Parakilas, in Enfield Court. Judge Kaplan said on the transcript that I called Chris Parakilas and I told him that he should not nolly your case because I think you should be prosecuted. Chris Parakilas in Enfield Court testified to the judge, Judge Scheinblum, that he's never talked to Judge Kaplan, that he never offered to nolly the case, and he doesn't know what's going on over in Rockville Court.
So obviously somebody's lying.
Absolutely. So I took
perjury.
Those 2 transcripts, filed a complaint with the Bar Association against Chris Parakilas. And Parakilas admitted to not just 1 or 2 phone calls with Judge Kaplan, but multiple calls where Judge Kaplan contacted him, told him that I should be prosecuted and that he should not nolly my case. And immediately after those phone calls, Parakilas withdrew his nolly and prosecuted me in that case, or attempted to prosecute me. So yeah, Parakilas lying about denying he ever talked to Judge Kaplan, and denying he ever offered to nullify the case. And then you have him admitting to offering to nullify the case and admitting to calling Judge Kaplan. Blatant lies in court. He's an officer of the court, and he's lying in court.
So he should be prosecuted.
Absolutely.
Parakeet
should be disbarred immediately. Parakeet should be disbarred immediately.
All right.
The judges and prosecutors make up the worst criminals.
Stephen